Good morning, all. I'm giving this a moment because I know that this recording is uploading to different platforms, and I'm hoping that it's working there. Hi, good morning. Um, at least for those of us on in Central Time in the US, it is 8:27 a.m. I do not go live this early normally. I just have a really full day and I wanted to come live to you, hopefully streaming on YouTube, Substack, and on LinkedIn. Hi, good morning to you all. If you're joining me, I'm absolutely delighted. Hopefully, I may or may not be able to see your comments. So if I don't, I apologize in advance. I'm not ignoring you. This is just the first time that I'm using my Riverside system to go live. So I'm a little unfamiliar. I'm still learning. Um, oh, there he is. I do have a way to see the chat. So hopefully all that will work. Again, if something isn't working, I apologize. Um, I am going live this morning because I wanted to talk about calming your calendar in a really rough, kind of a rough time that we're living in. Um, I admit because it's a little bit early, I have chosen not to go on the news, and I know that many of you are likely upset. At least folks who follow me might be upset about what might have happened last night at the President's State of the Union. I promise I will catch up and take a look at some news, um, probably right after I get done with this live. But for now, I wanted to come to you in a slightly calmer state. So I didn't do that because my whole thing is about being calm and being present in the moment. I also was doing this because today is the day that I am sort of officially, I had a little bit of a pre-launch last week, but an official launch of a new community that I am creating called the Calm Calendar Club. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to talk about in this time. Please, if you have any questions about that um, or rightful, probably justified criticisms of that, let me know. But I am launching this Calm Calendar Club, and I actually think, and everyone always has the right to disagree with me, I actually think this is a great time to be thinking about how do we use our time? And if you've followed me on any of my platforms for any length of time, you know that what I'm talking about with calendar planning is not about getting more work done. It is not about productivity. It is about making more space for what matters and making space for what matters, for the relationships in our lives that matter, for the rest that we need, and everything else that we want to do that has meaning and purpose in the world is so important right now. Because here's the thing that I'm hearing from people a lot. Um, in general, but it comes out when we talk about calendar planning. And I actually just did a webinar on some time management stuff for actually a group of clergy people yesterday. So this whole thing about how, not just about how we plan our calendar, that can be relatively neutral for people. Again, that varies. But the thing about that is that like how we manage our boundaries around our time trigger a whole lot of shame, and it triggers a whole lot of what might not be what may be habits that served us in the past. Things like people pleasing is a very common one that comes up, or things like that. Those things that get triggered by our uh, like calendar planning or related to that, the boundary setting can really bring up some stuff for us. And so what I think most like a planner doesn't bring talk about this at all. If you buy just a regular planner, or if you follow other time management gurus, I don't think they really delve into like what is the stuff underneath. And now let me be clear, the Calm Calendar Club isn't therapy. It is not uh, it is not a medical program per se, but what it is designed for people with real lives and real brains that don't work with everything. So what I have designed, and I've worked on this has been something I've been working on for several years with a small group of clients, and that I've repurposed. I've sort of put in a new way, in an affordable, what I hope is an affordable for many people, probably not all, but affordable for many people platform that has, it's both very flexible invites and invites you to kind of make your own, to do your own thing. So if you have comments or questions, I know I'm coming early, and if you're in Mountain Time or Pacific Time or any other time that is on the other side of this time of morning, you may be catching this later. But feel free to drop in the chat at any time. I do come back to my comments on all these platforms, so I'll take a look, I promise. So if you have any questions about that, like if I have ADHD, will this work for me? If I have any other form of neurodivergence, or just you don't even know if there's neurodivergence, but you know that planning is just something that doesn't come easily, or you might be one of those people that feel like, oh, I'm just not a planner, I'm giving up on this. And and I had this conversation with Jackie Hayes, the podcast that dropped about, well, exactly a week ago. We had this conversation, and I think the reason why we don't think we're planners, or that these systems don't work for us, is because the systems don't work for you. That's really the problem. And so what I've tried to design is something that is a process that you can customize and adapt for yourself. And I have seen clients do this. So here, let me show you. I actually brought up, hopefully this will work. This is if you were to join the Calm Calendar Club and you were to go in. I'm just giving you a little quickie overview of what that would look like. So here's this is the sample page, and let me flip over here so that I can scroll a little bit. You would get this cute little welcome, and there I am, welcoming you in. A link to my email address so that you can get a hold of me anytime. And then what I've tried to make is a very simple thing. I had this in another version of my community before, and it got for a variety of reasons, things had gotten overcomplicated and hard for people to use. And so I wanted to pull out these planning resources from there and and represent them in a way that's easier for you, and frankly for me to manage. So here's what you'll find. You'll find a handy welcome and orientation that so if you're someone who likes instructions, who wants to see that, there's an orientation to that. If you would like, but here's really the crux of the system that I've been, again, honing for several years, is the quarterly planning sessions. And there's two versions with videos of this quarterly planning session that you can then do on your own at any time. I am thinking of offering some live sessions where we go through this together. But for right now, you have this DIY version. There's one version where if you like, hey, just give me one video and one guidebook, and I just want to do the thing. That's cool. I have that version for you. But then there's also, it's a, it will probably initially take you a little bit more time, but there's a version of it. Let me see if I can show it to you. I think I can. So there's a choose your own adventure version. There we go. Where you'll come in, you'll have a bunch of options you can choose from. And then there's a bunch of small videos that I hope that you're seeing here, that give you choices. And there's like 4 different areas that you can choose from. I'm just going back to the main page. There are several different places where you can you can choose your big picture planning option. Then you can sort of choose which tools help you plan the best, help you set priorities. And then you'll do a calendaring process as well. And then I have other things as well in here. There's one right now, but there's a tiny planning session. If you're like, this big thing is not for me, or if you just need like a reset for the day or for the week, there's going to be some options. And the cool thing that I'm really building into this community is that we're building this together. So I'm intentionally not putting everything I could in the tiny planning sessions, or I can certainly update these other sections based on what you suggest. So I have a form that you can fill out and make a suggestion of new tools or like just suggestions in general of how to make this better. And then I have some other extras. You may never, if you were part of this community, you may never do this, but we have this extra calm section for reducing stress and anxiety. There's like three different just quick things that help you reduce stress, whether it's about your calendar or not. And then I also have this like favorite planning resources, and I'll continue adding things as I find them to that because I noticed that I have some additional things that some new things that I would like to add to that. So I wanted to show you that today here on Riverside because I always think that it's good to show people something in advance before they're like, wait, what do I get in this thing? But I also wanted to give you the opportunity to ask questions. And I know this is probably early for many, so you're not maybe not seeing this today, or excuse me, you're not seeing it until later. But I would love for you to take a look at this video. Um, Tell me what's on your mind, even if you think talking about calendar planning is the most lunatic thing you could think of today, after I'm sure what was a batshit crazy um, State of the Union, which I just intentionally did not watch um, because I would rather see what happens. I'd rather take that in once it's fact checked and things like that. So I'll take it in a different way. But if you think, hey, this is crazy, I think it's not. Like, what is the thing that you really want to make space for in this time? And let's do that together in this way. So, in the Calm Calendar Club, which launches today, you will get this very flexible system that you can help adapt for your brain, however your brain works. Even if you're diagnosed with something like ADHD, not every person is the same with I know that from coaching clients who are diagnosed with ADHD, the kind of planning that works for one doesn't work for the other, even with the same diagnosis. So I like working with people and with their process, not with a diagnosis, even though I'm happy to help support that diagnosis if you're working with that with a therapist or your medical professional or things like that. Always happy to support that. But I've had this work in conjunction. I've had clients who are working with me and with an ADHD coach and with their therapist or medical professional. So we can all be complementary to one another. And I hope this is exciting. It's exciting to me. I really had a lot of fun putting this together. I'm just going to tell you, that's just kind of the kind of nerd that I am. And I really want this to be a resource that enables people to take control of their calendar, calm themselves down, and really then use their time to do what matters, including time for yourself. Because time for ourselves, my friends, is crucial right now. It is so important that we take time for ourselves and rest, because rest is what liberates us from those structures that confine us. Even if we are working for justice, even if we are working for liberation, we need to have the space to imagine what's next. Otherwise, we're going to keep repeating the same cycles and patterns that we have in this world. So I hope that if you have any questions about the Calm Calendar Club, that you drop them in the chat. This is a launch week. I'm making a big deal out of it this week, but this is going to remain open. I don't do false anxiety or anything like that. I don't create false anxiety by making this limited time offer or something like that. What I'm doing is offering this up right now. It will remain open and you can join anytime. However, I will say that the one little perk of joining in this first week will be that I will give you a 50% off coupon to our first live planning session. I'm thinking of doing that sometime in spring, but I'm going to let the community tell me when that would work best for them. So if you're listening to this later, or if you joined me live and I just haven't been able to see you, I apologize for that. Again, this is the first time I'm using this chat feature and everything on on Riverside is the platform that I'm using. Um, and I know that I know that it's pretty early. You might be commuting or you might be doing things, but again, I have a busy day, and this was just the time that kind of oddly worked for me to go live. So I'm excited for you. Even if you have ADHD, even if you have all those things, I hope that you at least give this like a little try, a little tour. And if you wanted to be on my email list, I will drop in the chat a place to get on the kind of Calm Calendar Club. Uh, it'll probably be called the wait list technically, but you won't have to wait anymore because we're open. But it does give you the opportunity to give some of your feedback that will help continue to shape um, this platform. So I hope you join us. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you tuned in, I'm not going to make this any longer than it needs to be. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take deep breaths. Here, do one with me and exhale. You've got this. And I just want to remind you, like I often do, that you are worthy of rest. Goodbye, friends. See you soon.